the people that try to control you and the people that try to tell you what to do, how to do, what to think, how to think, they're not right. And start sooner.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Creative Blockman podcast. You guys know who I am, or hopefully. I'm your host, Miguel. Today I have a guest that, I always say this, but it's kind of true. I was very excited to have on the podcast, purely based on energy. Like, it's very cool to meet somebody that just has a good energy, and you can just feel this person's like positive, because the world's full of negativity and full of crap nowadays. So that's the main thing. That really, I haven't known this person for long, but just always like the energy. First time I met him was up here, and I was like, this is the man. I need this man on the podcast. And it is none other than Canton Parker.
Hello, dear sir.
I said your full name. Is that okay? Would you like people to know that?
Canton Parker's the one. I mean, you said you listened to the one episode with my dad, and there was like a full
I haven't.
name.
I've listened to Neo. I haven't. Yeah. But I heard that you guys did speak about it in the episode.
So my full name is Canton Lee Parker, and yes, that is my real name. So many people think it's not. Like I've taken the Lee out just because it's just too much for me at least. And so many people are like, "Oh, it's Canton Parker." I'm like, "Yeah." Like, cool. What's your name? I'm like, "No, Canton Parker." They're like, "No, we know that." But like, what's your name? I'm like, Canton Parker is my name. Like, here's my ID. Like, what do you want? And they're like, "Oh, we thought it was like a name you came up with." I was like, "Bruh, I wish."
So it's they thought it was like a stage name.
They thought it was like a legit stage name. And for me, I've asked my parents. I'm like, "Why Canton Lee Parker?" My dad literally looked at me with a laugh, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know, it sounded cool." I was like, "Oh, it sounded cool, so let's just call our son that."
Thanks, Dad.
So, it's very funny.
Okay, now that we've got that out the way, what I always, again, I say this to I've said it to almost every guest, bro, thank you for being here. Like, it's like I say to a lot of the guests, and we spoke about this earlier, I know this is probably not going to add much value to you, and for me, this adds the world of value, because you know it, you have a podcast, and sometimes just securing a guest that actually wants to be on the podcast is a full-time job on its own. So thank you very much for taking time out of your day. It's late. You had to drive through a hurricane, 17 roadblocks. He had to bring his passport. No, I'm kidding. But thank you so much for being here, bro. Thank you for taking your time. And let's get into it. Let's maybe start with
thanks for having me.
Who are you? Tell the guests who are you and
humble,
what do you do?
I'm a humble messenger, just trying to live life and get cancelled as quickly as I can. Not yet. But hey, you never know. It might come up soon. But yeah, bro, I think just kind of echo what you said there. Just thanks for having me. When you say it's not going to add any value to me, that couldn't be any further from the truth, only because I think having conversations, and, I spoke to you outside of the recording, but creating a platform for creatives to come and share their story, have a voice, have dialogue, sharing some stories collectively, and more than anything, just build a relationship and have a good time. That's not a small thing. So I really think that as much as you are wanting to build a platform that is adding value to you and bringing on all these different incredible guests that are coming to either drop wisdom, the 3 E's of content. It's either got to be educational, entertaining, or empowering. And I think you guys are doing very well at that. So me just kind of playing a part where I can add value to you, for me, is the most value that I am at least getting just sitting in this chair having a conversation with you. So thanks for having me, bro.
No, thank you.
And cool. So that's us
even
done.
Just that. Yeah. Well, thank you thanks for tuning in, guys. Please like, share. Please actually do like.
You have to
share, subscribe. I mean,
the end of the world will happen if they don't.
Exactly. And I actually figured. No, you guys don't know this. Anybody in this room? Did you know hitting the like button burns 0 calories?
0.
Might not be a good thing, but
it'll actually put a smile on your face, because you'll actually get to see more of this channel.
Exactly. So, guys, come on. What are you waiting for?
It's a win-win situation, 100%. But to answer your question, who am I?
What do you do?
I am I'm like a babushka doll, bro. I've got like,
that's good.
I'm like, you're like, we figured him out. No, there's more. No, there's more. Wait, no, there's more.
Joke's on you.
So yeah, I grew up in a very, very, like, it's a weird one, bro. I grew up in like a very creative family. My brother is a very successful photographer. I kind of followed suit with him as well. Also does incredible design. My family have been very involved in the toy and kind of game industry. Sometimes the two industries like bleed into each other. My dad kind of been on the board of Lego South Africa. Jossie Feltman changed to Just Fun Toys. You know, he was part of bringing a lot of product into South Africa, one of them being Nintendo. Growing up as a kid, not knowing why you're surrounded by all of this. It's just like, I'm living my best life. But then
what more does a kid want?
Exactly. But then like now being at the age I'm at, like I fully understand it, specifically because I kind of get to do it as a bit of a hobby, but kind of a career at the same time. And it's weird for me because I'm like, I grew up with that. So that was my dad. And then my mom being the very first Barbie in South Africa. Like
Guys, that was insane.
The physical Barbie.
When you told me that, I was like, what?
Dude, it was
Who can say their mom's Barbie?
Exactly.
Like, I think my mom's Barbie, but she's not actually Barbie. Mom's beautiful. She's the greatest, but like, your mom's Barbie.
Bro, it's like the weirdest thing ever. And now, like, again, when I look back, it's like, oh, so that's why there were all these Barbie dolls in the house. Like we had a garage and there was like all these trunks. And bro, I think we had like maybe 30 boxes, like closed boxes of Barbie dolls, like collector's items, and no, you're not allowed to open it because in however many years it's going to be worth this. Bro, and I always used to look at it and be like, I don't understand. This is very stupid, bro. Now, again, at the age I'm at, looking back, I can be filled with so much gratitude being surrounded in that type of environment. But like at the same time, like so much hype and drive to be like, man, like I get to now kind of share those stories. And hey, you know, I'm part of, you know, now in context like the gaming industry where I get to hopefully position myself as a prolific voice in the industry and in the community. But it's also like, oh, but that's where I come from. Like that's so cool. So that's kind of a bit of who I am. But by day, it's a typical 9 to 5. I'm a what I like to dub as a creative storyteller. I work for an incredible agency called WOM Agency, Word of Mouth, and we do a lot of cool things for a lot of cool people. A lot of the stuff that we do is wrapped up in the music industry, events industry, and entertainment industry, and that is just filled with headaches and a lot of emails and a lot of graphs, but it's all worthwhile at the end of the day when you hit your head down on a pillow, for sure.
Okay. So working at an agency isn't all fun and games. Like everybody... Hey, wow, would you look at that, guys? It's actually hard work. Everybody wants to be in the agency. Like, this is amazing. It's so much fun. I want to be you. But then when it comes down to it, like...
It's still graft, man.
Come be me. And then, you know, like, let's see then. Okay, so when you say you're in the gaming industry, et cetera, what is it that you do exactly?
So
when you say you're in the industry?
It's a weird one because I got in the industry... So... Growing up as a gamer, probably not the best parenting advice, but when I was 5-6 years old, obviously I'm a 1994 baby. PlayStation 1 came out, well, PlayStation launched in 1994. Fast forward a few years, PlayStation 2 now comes out, I think in 1999, 2000, and that was like...
Memories, you like me.
Bro, that was
so
the
dear
console.
To my heart.
That was the console that I think took a whole turn in shaping and forming the gamers that are the gamers today.
Oh yeah.
And definitely. Again, not the best parenting advice, but I, as a 5 or 6 years old, I'm here with my brothers and my dad installing the PlayStation 2 in my bedroom. And what's the first game I jump into? Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And it's like, I don't know if that's the best game or maybe
for 5-year-old.
I learned a lot, which is
great.
you're
going to learn how to hustle. You're going to become a hustler.
You're going to learn a lot, bro. And yeah, so I grew up immersed in gaming, bro. When it was collector's editions, I was there queuing at like 6 o'clock in the morning when the next FIFA was being released. And bro, like I would save, my parents would give me like, you know, tuck shop money. I would bank that tuck shop money. I would literally starve myself at school every day because then come the end of the month, whatever game was coming out, I'm like, I got the cash. Mom and dad, you don't stress. And they're like, where'd you get the cash from? Also, don't stress about that. It's fine. It's all going to be okay.
I have a job, Mom.
Yeah, I have a job. But anyway, so playing a lot of games, growing up in gaming, being immersed in it. When I got the PlayStation 5, like I love all black. Normally I'm wearing all black, not today, but normally I like wear all black. It's just like I love the color, I love the boldness,
easy.
the sophistication, the elegance of it. It's neat, exactly. And so PlayStation 5 came out and it was white, which was sick. I thought it was dope. But then they released the Midnight controller and that thing was just black on black on black, and I was like, I have to get it. So I bought it through Kudu, which is a online retailer here in South Africa. And when I got it, because I had started content creation as a 15-year-old, but for everyone else, doing logos and flyers and photo shoots and business cards and like album artworks and all of that, I had been doing content creation for everyone for like the longest of times. Even the different jobs that I was in, it was very much design, photography, videography. Now this controller comes out and I'm thinking to myself, oh, you know what I want to do? I'm going to set, it looks so sick. I'm going to set the controller up. I've got the gear, I've got the camera, I've got everything. I'm going to make this cool video off this controller. And it's like a snippet of a video. Shoot the video, edit it, looks dope, got like the blue lights to match the Kudu branding. And then I posted this video and I was like, I like it. I just did it because I wanted to do it. Here, if the creative director of Kudu doesn't spot it, and she sends me a DM and she's like, hey, like, did you make this? I was like, yeah, this is what I do. So she's like, oh, that's so sick. Like, we're looking for creators to come alongside. Would you be keen to do this birthday celebration collab with us? Canton, which is I think it's a French publisher. They've got this bag in collaboration with PlayStation releasing. So we want to give you the bag. Can you make content on the bag and then promote our third birthday? I was like, do I get to keep the bag? It's like, yes. So then I started it. And
I'm in.
Exactly. It's like, wow, okay, like this is dope. I've never done this before. I've done it for everyone else, but never for myself. Then from there, Kudu, who is quote unquote technically attached to a South African distributor called Gamefinity, they spotted the content and they were like, hey, you make really high quality content. Would you ever be keen to review a game? And I was like, do I get to keep the game? Can I check my schedule? Anyway, so then I got
just contact my PA.
You know what I mean? Let me just,
I'm a bit busy right now.
Let me see how this the do's and don'ts fill in. And then I reviewed. I was fortunate enough to review. I think it was Saints Row Farming Simulator.
Oh, dude, the first one, Saints Row, like the original Saints Row.
The Saints Row that was released on PlayStation 5. So
it wasn't the one that got super because there was a really cool Saints Row that was similar to GTA and stuff like that. And then there was, I think it's
like
the one just after that. And it was like so far left, dude. And your person became like 10 times bigger. It was like, like an animation game all of a sudden.
No, it wasn't that one.
So it was, okay, it was.
I think this was
the Saints Row that I think I love.
This
you
was
and
like
I both loved.
like still Saints Row, Saints Row to be Saints Row, but this was a bit more of a okay, this is just like a sandbox chaotic game. Okay. And I reviewed that, Farming Simulator, which is always fun. And then a skateboard game called Session Skate Sim. And then from there, Gamefinity looked at it and were like, hey, like you have a lot of like presentation skills. Like, do you do this often? I was like, oh, funny story. I used to work at a church, and being on platform in front of thousands of people, you kind of have no choice but to kind of get your act together and learn how to present and understand your tonality in your speech, and kind of cut out the ums and ahs. And when you're speaking, you got to then tail your words so that people audibly will know that you're coming to the end of something. And then it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. So when I explained this, I was like,
did you guys pick it up what he did? Did you? If you didn't,
and then from there it was like they loved how I was presenting, what I was presenting, in the way that I was presenting it. And then, man, the rest is kind of history in the context of then Xbox South Africa reached out to me, Nintendo reached out to me, I reached out to some other distributors and publishers as well. And it's just been, it's been such a roller coaster. I can't even sit back and give you like a formula other than it was just this 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old Canton Lee Parker sitting in his bedroom just wanting to play games. The only difference now is that same kid is now in his mid-late 20s and he's made content for people, but now he's going to make it for himself and still play games, not necessarily in his bedroom, but in his apartment. And he's got to post it. So for me, it's like I still pinch myself, and never in my wildest dreams would I ever found myself in this position to creatively tell stories in something that I genuinely just love,
Yeah,
which is cool.
You would have done it regardless, whether
100%.
whether you were going to create content and get paid for it,
Yeah.
etc., etc. It was something you were still going to do to this
Exactly.
day.
And I even tell people, like, when people say, "Oh, you know, how do I get in with like PlayStation, and how do I get in with Nintendo?" And I'm like, it sounds weird, but like you just make content. And they're like, "No, but I need to like reach out."
There's
to
no
them."
like formula to say, okay, do
No.
this, then you're going to get in.
And
no.
I've said this to so many people before, but I'm like, if you wouldn't ordinarily go and buy the game with your hard-earned cash and play it and make the content that your gran will watch and love, and only your gran.
Yeah, only her. You're going to get one like and one view.
like, one view, that's it. And your gran's probably going to comment something and try to figure out what emojis are. If you're not doing it with that audience in mind, I think you're kind of doing it for the wrong reasons. And I would presume and be as bold enough to say that is the secret formula, where a lot of people see this highlight reel where it's the behind the scenes, the late nights, the early mornings, we chatted about this earlier, but the wanting to give up, but still choosing to hit record anyway. That's kind of where it is. And that's where I would even go as far to say will always be. But a lot of people feel like there's this highlight reel and there's this, no, but I need that contact.
It's because of what they see.
100%,
Let's be honest.
bro.
Like everybody sees,
Yeah.
you know, the Instagram and like, oh, that looks so cool. And it's just like, yeah. Like, you know, there's people I speak to, like when myself and Katie do events, and it's like, oh, that looks so nice. Like that art piece was so fancy. Or like, you know, it must be so fun. And I was like, yeah, we got home at like 2 a.m. and I woke up at 5 the morning before to go
wants
to
that.
work. And then after work, I came to here and, you know, we did this. That like, that wasn't that nice. Yes, we had a great event. I had fun with people, got to speak about something I love speaking about. But then after that, it's like, damn, it's 2 a.m. I've got to be awake at 5. Should I go to sleep? Should I just stay awake?
Should I go play games?
Should I go play games?
And it's in that, bro. Like that's the prize. So many people look at it and go, oh, you know, Miguel's made it. Oh, the Creative Blockman, they've made it. And it's like, guys, you don't see the heartaches and headaches that are around the corner that you got to put up every single time. And it's kind of, you know, off camera we were chatting about that word passion. It's exactly that.
I think you need to actually explain to the guests, because I feel like, again, educational. I feel like that's something they kind of need to. Cause I feel like the people that do watch this are the people that could say they are passionate about their field and passionate about this. So let's explain. Well, you're gonna explain.
Let us take the onion and dive into the layers upon which the tears will come.
David Atterbury.
Long ago. But so passion. A lot of the times people throw around the word passion like it's a smartie, bro. Like it's something that you can have at like a Sunday bra. And it's like, oh, bro, what are you passionate about? Oh, I'm passionate about music. Oh, I'm passionate about film. Or I'm passionate about art. Or
fashion.
Fashion. You know, you throw it in whatever category and context you want. You're passionate about this, and this is your passion, whatever that is. However, a lot of the times people don't realize language matters, and language is so important in the foundation of our understanding and how it sets the tone and trajectory of where we're going. And so passion, from a language perspective, comes from the Latin word pati. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's spelled P-A-T-I with like a thing on like an I. And pati, from its root wording and meaning, means to suffer. And it's like, wow, now that just brings so much more weight to the word passion. And what I always explain to people is that if you cannot understand that passion literally means to suffer, you won't be able to understand that your hard working hours, late nights, early mornings, wanting to give up, feeling like no one understands you, feeling like there's moments where you want to quit, where you kind of sometimes do quit, where you're your biggest critique, where you can't sleep at night, where you don't want to get up in the morning. That type of suffering is probably the best fertile breeding ground for you to understand that you've probably found what you're passionate about. If you can find what you're passionate about, it makes it so much easier to just hit record, get out of bed, do it again, feel misunderstood, get rejected, but still keep on doing it again and again and again. Because those small increments and those small steps into just showing up every day, not for necessarily anyone else, but just for yourself, that is something super, super cool to be passionate about. So it's in that suffering that we find that fulfillment. It's in that suffering that we kind of get a glimpse of, I don't want to necessarily say purpose, but that fuel to just keep going. And that's why a lot of the times, if you're willing to find what you can suffer for, you'll be able to find what you're passionate about.
100%. That was all for free, guys. You didn't have to pay. That's some real knowledge that I feel a lot of people need to actually just grasp and understand. Yeah, 100%. Drops mic. Again, we're done.
Not
Cheers.
this mic, it's expensive.
Drops proverbial mic and walks out. Again, so a lot of people would kind of say, you play games for a living.
Oh, yeah,
but it's not just that.
It's
not just games.
That's where ADD kicks in, bro, because it's like we were chatting, how did I get into the gaming industry? So yeah, making content, and now what's so funny is a lot of times, and we chatted about it, but a lot of the times people think, oh, you play games for a living. You get paid to play games. No, I don't. I wish I did, bro. Imagine just getting a salary to just
play games.
Grab a controller and be like, right, who am I shooting today? What 12-year-old Afrikaans kid on Call of Duty needs a hiding today? But so I have a full-time job, which I thoroughly enjoy, and I love who I do it with and what I get to do. But I'm fortunate enough to get to create gaming content in the format of what I think about certain titles. Like, hey, from a game review, this is what I think, this is what I feel about the graphics, more the feeling of it. I think a lot of the times people want to critique games, and I think we're in probably the worst state of gaming planet Earth has ever been in, because everyone is so overcritical. Everyone is like nitpicking at like...
Yeah, like just enjoy the game, guys. Like,
it's like, oh, but did you see there's no reflection in the mirror? This game is horrible. It's like, bro, please just like fold yourself in half and somersault down a hill.
What happened to like the storyline was really good, and that's what made the game.
Like, if it's fun, and provided I'm going to kind of be on both sides, yeah. There are some games that need some work. I do agree with that. Of
course.
But just like, play it to have fun. Play it to enjoy it. Why do we need to critique everything so much? Even to the degree where, a lot of publishers have come out and they said it's so incredibly difficult to make games for the community today because they are so overly critical that you can't even please them anymore. They look for every single thing that's wrong with it. And I agree with it. Bro,
it's like the game is being remastered before it's even been published. Like, it gets published, people play it for a month and we need to remaster it because the graphics aren't 69 million K and you can't see through the guys. So no, guys, relax. It's just a game.
No, exactly.
Have some fun.
And I'd love to... Actually, here's a great example. So I was chatting to a friend of mine the other day, and he was asking me like, oh, so how's like the gaming thing going? And I was just like venting. And I said, I'm getting so irritated with everyone having such intense and immense opinions about a game. Like,
it's a game.
Relax, bro. Like, no one wakes up in the morning and goes, right, how can I make the shittest game today? No one does that, bro. No one. So kind of look at it for what it is, what's being presented, and look for the gold. Because if you can't look for the gold, you're not going to find the gold. If you can't find the gold, you're going to live poor for the rest of your life. And I don't mean poor from a financial, monetary wealth perspective.
No,
poor
it's deeper.
From emotional intelligence, from just your mental capacity. Like, you're always looking for what's wrong. Anyway, besides the point. Yeah. So I'm explaining this to this friend, and I just stopped in that moment and I went, and I'm not going to mention titles or anything, but I said, oh, this movie recently came out. And we went to go watch it. And we were in the car, and it was a premiere, so it hadn't come out to quote unquote like market yet. We were one of the first to see it. And I said to him, now he's not big into the whole scene or anything. So I just asked him, what did you think of the movie? And his response was, I thought it was really cool. I was like, cool, man. Like, what did you think from like the plot and the story and like the way it was put together? He's like, yeah, I thought it was quite dope. So I was like, cool, man. So like, he could kind of pick up my tone. So he was like, why are you
you're trying to dig a bit deeper.
I was trying to dig. So he says to me, why are you asking me that? And I said, well, it's funny. That exact same movie that you enjoyed, that you liked, that you thought was pretty cool, if you go on the internet, everyone hates it.
I think I know what movie you're talking about.
And he looks at me and he goes, huh, that's weird. Like, well, that's cool. They want to think that. This is his words. He's like, it's cool if they want to think that. I actually kind of enjoyed it. So then in that moment, I stopped and I said to him, now who's right and who's wrong? And
Perception.
He looks at me and he goes, no one. And I said, exactly. No one's right. No one's wrong. It's all perception. What do you think about it? What do you feel about it? And I think the more that we can position ourselves to still have an opinion, yes, but bruh, it's not gospel. Calm down.
Yeah, 100%.
Please.
Have an open mind. That's the way 100%. I pretty much approach anything in my mouth. Whoa. Pause. in my life. You know, it's have an open mind. Even if you don't understand something, you don't really grasp it, it's fine. Listen to somebody that actually has the knowledge and take it in. You're like, okay, cool. I agree with you on X, Y, and Z, but I don't agree with you on X, Y, and Z. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's perfectly fine. We don't have to agree on everything. And we don't have to see eye to eye.
So okay.
It's okay, guys. Really, like if you didn't like the way the one scene was shot, we don't have to blow the whole movie up. If you didn't like the one part of the game that wasn't rendered perfectly, that's fine. You know what I mean? It adds character to the game.
Yeah.
So
and at the end of the day, we're all human.
Of course.
Like, we're not going to get it all perfect, all right all the time.
Come on. That's not realistic.
I mean, if anyone does do that, please, oh please, can you email us at weneedhelp@creativeblockman.com, and we would love to, that email doesn't exist, relax, but
please.
We would love to know your formula.
Please. Okay, so you didn't get where you are today in terms of creating content for all these brands, etc., by only being into gaming. There has to be others. There has to be other mediums, and I'd like to call it art forms. You're definitely a creative at heart. I can see it, not only in presenting. It's just the way you also produce and the quality that you put out. You can see you're passionate about. Am I saying the right word?
Passion,
I think it's a passion. Yeah, you could say it's a passion. I think you've put in some long nights and early mornings for this.
The few moments and pockets of life that I've gone, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. But then
beep this shit because I got told earlier that I need to swear less.
You did actually. I was in the room.
Yeah, Damien.
We love you, Damien. Feature on the podcast soon again.
If there's like, if you're a parent and you have your kids watching, please block their ears. But fuck you, Damien.
I love it. But so kind of how I got into the creative sphere space, if you want to call it that, is when I was in high school. And again, this is like, bro, if I look back, never in my wildest dreams would I have thought this was the avenue of how it would have gotten to where it currently is. I had a friend who always would come over for, remember like LAN
oh gaming. Yeah, damn.
Mates bring their PCs before internet was like hip and popping and all of that stuff in between, and you had to like link all your PCs.
We need to have a LAN.
Cables.
We need to have a LAN. Like,
and we would game. We would play like Counter-Strike, Command and Conquer. Man, what else did we play? I think like the Total War series. Like we would LAN, like old school proper LAN. Yeah. So this guy comes over, plugs in his PC, and I don't know if you remember like Windows. I think they still did. I'm a Mac guy, so I don't know about that life anymore. But anyway, so in a Windows PC, when it starts, it's like a loading screen. Like back in the day, it was like Windows XP, and it always started with Windows XP. Like you saw that,
like a little animation.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And this guy's PC starts, and that's his name, but like in this cool, like stylized, creative looking way. And I looked at it, I was like, bro, that's so cool. Like, where did you get it? He says, no, I made it. I'm like, you made it.
Whatever.
What are you talking about, bro? He's like, no, I made it. I was like, okay, cool. How'd you make it then? And he's like, no, I use this thing called Photoshop. Now, here's me, super curious, super inquisitive. And I just said, oh, can you give me Photoshop? Now, this is like, all those cracked versions that going around, bro. I have a
that we still use today.
No, I don't.
Liar. He's lying, guys.
I need those updates.
He's lying.
So anyway, so he's like, yeah, cool, I'll give you Photoshop. So cool, puts Photoshop on my computer. And bro, probably, this was before YouTube was even really a thing, eh? And so you couldn't really Google some 12-year-old Pakistani kid that's like walking through this whole
destroying Photoshop in,
you know
like,
what I mean?
minutes.
Like he's like figured out Photoshop in like a day, and here I am like, what the hell's going on? Yeah. So anyway, I used to call this friend like every single day for probably like 3 months. I'm like, bro, I have this picture in my head. How do I do like this? And he's like, oh, I don't really know, but maybe, because he was also still trying to figure out. It's like, maybe if you click this and you click that. And in the process of speaking to him, but then also trying to figure it out by myself, like, what does this tool do? If I click that, if I change this, what would happen? Oh,
trial and error, basically.
Trial and error, 100%, like figuring it out. I kind of learned Photoshop by that, just experimenting. Then a lot of family and friends would come over for family and friend stuff. And my dad would be like, oh, my son's learning design. And it's funny because one, it started off at a LAN, got Photoshop. Yeah. Then one of the games that I used to play a lot, bro, was The Sims. Oof. Remember like building houses and shit?
Best.
all of that.
I mean,
So-
relationships I've had on Sims. Oh,
So I always thought like, right, I'm going to either be an interior designer or an architect. Like that's what I'm doing because I love The Sims. Then Photoshop kind of bled a bit more into like, oh, maybe I just become like a graphic designer.
correct.
So family and friends would come over, my dad would be like, oh, my son's learning design. Do you want a logo? Do you want a business card? And all my dad's business friends would be like, I do need a logo and I need a flyer and I need a business card and an email signature. And I'd always be like, oh, you need a logo?
I can do that.
I'll charge you 100 Rand for your logo. And then they'll be like, 100 Rand? Yeah, and literally whip out cash. Now, bro, as a probably 12, 13-year-old, I'm like holding this 100 Rand. I'm like, yo,
Mom, I've made it. Guys, I'm moving out. Cheers,
I've
Dad. Cheers, Mom.
landed this gravy train. It's gonna be great. Anyway, so then that logo turned into that business card, turned into this. Then it's like, oh, I'm hosting an event. I need a flyer. And I'd be like, just charge you 500 Rand for that flyer. And it's like, oh yeah, cool. And then I got a camera and I was, because my now brother's a photographer at the time, is still a photographer today, but now I'm looking at what my brother's doing and I'm like, oh, I want to do photo shoots as well. And again, much like anything in life, you stuff up again, again, you learn, and you're like, okay, that's how I shouldn't do it. That's how I should do it. Maybe this isn't really how I should do it, but it feels right. And I can kind of figure out my own style and my own methodology. And that's what's epic about the whole thing is the process of discovering. And then that kind of got me onto having a lot of friends that were DJs and singers and producers. And they would be like, oh, hey, I'm playing at this venue, I need a photo they want a photo of me, and I'll be like, oh, I can do your photo shoot.
Yeah,
oh,
poster for the event.
I'm releasing a mix, I need a cover art. Oh, I can do your cover art. Oh, I'm a DJ, I need a logo. I can do, and all of this music industry beginnings, if you want to call it. Eventually, one of the label managers, I don't know if he was a label manager at the time, but super high up within Soul Candy Records. I didn't even know it was Soul Candy. I got a phone call and was like, hey, we've seen your work. We need you to do some work for some of our artists. Now, keep in mind, I've been doing this for artists. So I was like, cool.
Yeah, I can do this.
I'll come meet you. So he's like, yeah, cool. This is the address. Like, pop through when you can. So I was like, cool. I'll come on this day, this time. He's like, cool. I walk in and there's this massive Soul Candy logo on the wall.
And if you guys don't know, sorry to cut you off. If you guys don't know Soul Candy, one, you're very young. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
True, actually.
But, well, no, we still kind of, I'm young. I don't know about you.
I grew up with Soul Candy, bro.
That's me too. Like Soul Candy is the greatest.
100%,
Still to this day.
100%.
Guys, just go into Google. Just Google Soul Candy Records. The rest, you can thank us, both of us later.
So yeah,
Continue.
what happened was I was at Soul Candy Records, but as I walked in, I didn't realize it was Soul Candy. So as I walked in and I saw this massive logo on the wall, I was like, is this Soul Candy Records? And then I was like, whoa, okay, hold on, this is a bit surreal. And then there's, you got Fresh and Euphonic, and then I'm hearing Mikasa, and I'm like, whoa.
I'm a bit
Bro, it was so weird
now.
for me. Then eventually I did some work for them, and then they were like, hey, we love what you do. We want you on the team. I was like, this is luck. Now, keep in mind, bro, I'm like, I dropped out of high school. So I was, I think, 17, just 18 at the time. And I started as one of the lead creatives at Soul Candy doing design, photography, and videography. Had incredible opportunities. I did Ricky Rick's first album.
Nice.
I used to do Mikasa's photo shoots. Still work with Mikasa to this day. But back then, like, I photographed Mikasa in my mom's garage with like Staffordshire Bull Terriers running around in a complex. And it was like, my mom's walking out with cookies. She's like, oh, anybody wants some cookies?
I was hungry.
And bro, it was like the funniest thing ever. And it was so cool to see a behind the scene, behind the curtain look at these artists, which are big and huge and, they got a name for themselves. But then you get to see a bit of the reality of, oh, you're just a normal human being.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me at a very young age of, it's okay to be this creative person. It's okay to be good at your craft. It's okay to make a name for yourself. But that in and of itself is not you. Because at the end of the day, when you hit your head down on a pillow, you're just as normal as everyone else. Some people don't have that. To be fair, you know who you are.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have
But
that.
a lot of the guys I'll openly say this, Jay something, Mikasa, Dr. Duda, Moti, these are guys that you can sit at a table and have a conversation with, and you would think they're just one of your mates. And like that's pretty cool. Ricky Rick at the time sitting opposite him in a boardroom, and he's just like, oh bro, let me show you this cool thing. And it's like, dude, you're Ricky Rick. Like what is going on here?
It's just like, I think they just remain humble. You know
even
what I mean?
to the degree, bro, like one of the things I recently did a few weeks ago is I get a phone call and like, Canton, we need your help. I was like, sure, like, what do you need? And they're like, no, there's this international artist group coming to South Africa, but for a private corporate function, and we need you to just get some content of them. I don't know who these people were. They just said, that location, that time, be there. I was like, oh, sick, I've done this before. Whatever. I don't know who they're talking about. Bro, I walk in, and I'm talking to the Black Eyed Peas. And I'm like, oh, hot damn. Okay, bro.
Again, I'm a bit nervous.
will.i.am was coming a day later, but like Taboo, Apple, bro, these guys down to earth. Like how you and I are talking to each other now. Taboo's opening up about his previous health challenges that he had and how he overcome that. And he's now inspiring younger men that are also suffering with the same stuff. And bro, you just like, I took them to go taste boerewors for the first time, dude. And it's just
Legendary.
myself, these two, and the social media manager. And we walk into a restaurant and everyone's like, who the hell are these guys like with these American accents? They were so chilled and normal. You would never have thought, like, unless you were a massive fan of the Black Eyed Peas, you wouldn't know who these guys are. And so that whole winded explanation to kind of getting to where I am now is I've been exposed to so many different creatives, both big and small, super arrogant, super humble, and kind of figuring out and learning my own rhythm and my own tonality in the whole process of the whole thing, and the discovery of who I am in this bigger picture of I do have my own style and I do have my own showcase of how I like to present a visual story, or whether it be a video or photo shoot or a design. Like when you look at it, I've had so many people accuse me of like, oh, you stole this design. I'm like, where? Please show me what design I've stolen.
Show me the reference where I stole it from.
Exactly. And it's so funny to have those critics, but then also on the opposite end, have people kind of going, man, I love what you did. I actually screenshotted that. I set it as my wallpaper. Or, one dude saw one of my designs. He's like, oh, I stole it. And I printed it on a t-shirt. I'm like, that sounds hell of illegal, but I mean,
you should have at least DM'd me like before and said, hey, listen, I'm going to do this.
But it's so cool that to see people are one part inspired by the creative work that I do, which again, thanks. Like, it sounds weird, but like I said this to my wife the other day, I don't do content for other people. I do it for me.
Amen.
So many people are like,
amen.
Oh, you got like, it's again, I still find it weird. I find it cool, but I find it weird. But it's like I'm at Comic-Con and someone will look at me and be like, oh, you Canton Park. And I'll be like, oh, hey, can I have a selfie with you? And I'm like, why? I'm like you. Like, why you want to take a picture? And I hope that I never find myself in a position that thinks I'm higher than anyone else. Correct. I still want to be the dude where outside of a mic, give me a mop and I would like to sweep the floors, because I want to be part of this whole thing where together we get to set the trajectory of a creative medium that makes people be inspired, but also sets the tone for the next generation of creatives to make even better work. And I think that's kind of where it's at, I would hope, for all creatives. So yeah, that's a little bit of my journey.
Nice.
In a weird way.
We're going to pivot quickly.
Totally, right?
Bro. It's not really a news segment. We've done this before, but all I need you to do is yes or no. Not yes or no.
This or that.
Not, kind of, but we're going to, a slight twist to it. We got a little bit deeper at the end.
Why do I feel nervous?
Don't be nervous. It's okay. It's just me. I'm not the Black Eyed Peas or Ricky Rick or anybody else. Just me.
You are Miguel. You are the breaker of Beyonce's, the crusher of Jay-Z's,
no.
the Johnson and Johnsons of P. Diddy party.
Ooh, a bit too soon. There's no baby oil in the room, I promise you guys.
Okay,
quick one. Xbox or PlayStation?
Yo, why are you going to do me like that? Some people might be watching this, but PlayStation is how I grew up.
Okay. McDonald's, Burger King?
Yo, I had Burger King today, but I'd say McDonald's.
You ate 2 burgers today?
Right. I had an extra long chili cheese at Burger King.
Nice. I had 2 junior cheeseburgers from McDonald's.
McDonald's for sure.
Okay, cool, McDonald's. Now, what is the worst advice somebody's ever given you?
Worst advice? There's a couple actually. I think so if I just had to get like deep again for something, is the worst advice is that you can do it on your own. Like, everyone everyone says like, oh, if no one believes you, if you just put your mind to it, you can do it. Which, yes, it's.
I'm a one-man army.
Like technically, to a degree, I think the confidence and the drive is 100% true. But however, you'll be quite surprised that if you just had to take a step back and look around you at the people that are cheering you on every single step of the way, whether that be family, your mom, your dad, your wife, your cousin, your brother, your friends, anyone really, you'll find that you're only the person you are because of the people that hold you up in the process of the whole thing. And I think that advice of you don't need anyone, you can do it. I beg to differ, bro. Maybe
to a certain
short
point, yes. To a certain point, yes. You can crush it. You can do it on your own. After some time, I mean, you're gonna need somebody, even if it's just like what we spoke about earlier. Myself personally, I'm too busy with my normal day-to-day things for me to actually sit and come up with posts for Instagram. Like, we'll guide and direct and say, this is the direction we're going towards. But other than that, you need people to help.
You do, man. At the end of the day, you are who you hang out with, and we've heard it. Well, I think we've heard it so many times. But like, show me your 5 friends, and I'll show you where you'll be in 5 years.
Ooh, amen.
It's the same
so
thing,
true.
bro.
So true. Okay, last one. And then we're gonna get back to the actual episode.
Oof.
If the 21-year-old Canton Parker was sitting here, what would you tell him? Just your. I mean, it might hit the spot.
I know exactly what I want to say. I just know there will be only a handful of people that will understand the context of it without me giving too much away. But the people that try to control you and the people that try to tell you what to do, how to do, what to think, how to think, they're not right. And start sooner. Because I've had a few people tell me many times and like quote, you'll never amount to anything. You'll never make it.
You're wasting your time.
You're wasting your time. I literally, and it's so funny. You know who you are. You're probably not watching this, but you know who you are. I literally was told.
He or she will one day.
She will one day. Even when I say she, people are like, we know exactly what he's talking about. But there was a lady who face to face said to me in a office was, you must delete social media because nothing will ever come out of it. And the funniest thing about everywhere where I am today is every network and DM and relationship that I have built through the context, not social media in and of itself, but through the context of social media where, hey, I feel like making a video. I think it's going to be cool. I'm going to do it for myself. But in the process of that, 5 people see it, 5 other people share it. Those other 5 people send it to whatever. And then all of a sudden you have PlayStation South Africa, Xbox South Africa, Nintendo South Africa, all these brands like Rode South Africa kind of saying, hey, we like what you're doing. But now imagine I went, yeah, you know what, you're right. I'm not going to do that.
Actually, so let me delete my Instagram page.
You know what I mean? My advice to my 21-year-old self is that don't think too much of yourself. However, don't listen to them because they're only projecting what they kind of wish that they did at your age. And because they can't rewind time, they can at least push their agenda onto you. And it's the furthest thing from the truth.
Amen. Amen. And to the lady, whoever you are, first of all, you're mean. Second of all, please go and delete your social media and your channels. Third, goodbye.
Love it.
So I wouldn't say back to the episode, but I want to touch on something, and this excites me about any guest that I have on. What's next? Like, what's next for you and I'm going to call it your brand. What's next for Canton Parker?
So, man, I had this conversation with my wife the other day, and in full transparency and vulnerability, I said to my wife, so I don't know how much I can keep doing this for, only because, and I'm gonna land the plane here, only because, bro, it's hard work. Yeah, it's hard work coming up with ideas, staying relevant, staying fresh, but kind of still staying true to who you are, not digressing off the path that kind of you'd know to be true for yourself.
Correct.
But then still having fun along the way. I think if it stops becoming fun, we've lost it. If you can't wake up early from the excitement, if you can't not go to, how am I wording this? You're supposed to struggle to go to sleep in the evening because you're too excited to jump into the idea that you kind of want to do it now, but 1 o'clock in the morning is a bit too late/early to jump into something.
Is it?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
But
what you
it's
mean.
like
yeah.
it's like you kind of want to have that fun. Like last night, I'm lying in bed and I'm like, oh, I want to do this, and I think it was so cool if I do that, and what if we come from this angle and we like that's kind of where it needs to be. So what's next? Definitely, I think making a bit more wholesome content, making a bit more real content, upping the production value from lighting to camera quality to audio quality to storytelling, storyboarding, cinematic showcases, really setting, I don't want to say setting the standard like I'm the be all end all of existence, but raising the bar to inspire other content creators to
Setting your standard.
the only person I want to compete with is myself.
Setting your standard and pushing your
100%.
quality.
But then,
work.
like even just being in this lovely archive room of Simba Art, like definitely seen more people and brands putting the forefront of pop culture and art and creativity, and people like the creator Blockman, yourself, KD, kind of also setting that standard, but showing not only yourselves that you can and that you can do more, but showing other people that it's also possible if you just have passion.
Amen.
100%.
And it's difficult. That whole thing of
It's rough, bro.
I'd
rather
I
be a
get you
stripper.
like 100%. Sometimes it depends how many drinks you've had.
Depends.
But it's so true, because at the end of the day, it's like you said, you really have to. I take myself last night. I was busy charging batteries. I was like, okay, but now how are we going to shoot this? Like, this is going to look cool, but what about this? What? It's you have to wake up and straight away, like that's the first thing you got to think of. Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Cool, let's get this done. Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
X, Y,
Yeah,
Z.
it's not as simple as, we'll just put the cameras, hit record, and then figure it out.
100%. Myself and Katie were moving chairs around.
Literally, no one knows, but probably like 45 minutes to an hour, you and KD, myself and Damien, who's just behind you.
Yeah.
But like,
I can tell.
We were busy chatting, and you and KD were, this chair, no, that chair. Let's move it here. This table, no, that table. What about this lighting? And that for me is the beauty of content creation, is that it's the process of figuring it out, what feels right, what looks right. And at the end of the day, when you're editing the content from that to publishing the content, you can at least go, that looks cool. And then 5 seconds later, you go, nah, we hate it. And that is probably the most beautiful thing about content creation, is that you're never satisfied, because in and of itself, hungry people always eat. So if you're forever finding yourself hungry, you'll forever find yourself improving, getting better, doing more, doing things that other people don't do, which I guess is kind of always the touchy ground, because you kind of push the boundaries to come up with stuff, that innovation and ingenuity to think inside and outside the box.
Correct. I had a crazy idea the other day. We are going to get somebody that works at 5 on the podcast.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, listen, could we get on the roof of the SABC building?
Did they say yes?
No, you can't.
Oh.
I mean, maybe we'll make a plan. And that's what it is. Again, you can shoot like a beautiful episode, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, no, but we haven't done this.
Because you know what's so cool? Who has done that?
No one.
That's the best part, bro.
So yeah, that for me is also, I love that.
The only reason why it should be no is if it's impossible.
It's not impossible.
That's
Could knock out a security guard and maybe like, no, don't do that. I'll never do that, guys.
Full disclaimer. We do not take responsibility of 5FM security guards.
Imagine.
Bro,
we're going to slowly but surely wrap this up. And one thing I always want to do, and always want to just ask like the guests to please do this. Are there any questions that you want to ask me? Because I always like, I don't want this to feel like an interview. I don't want it to be like, so tell me about you. Like, what do you want to ask me? Do you want to ask me anything? I
love that approach and that kind of framework of it, because I think so many times it's like, cool, how did you this? Right, where did you that?
No.
Cool. And it's like, the guest will kind of like tell you everything, and then you'll go, well, thank you for joining us for the Creative Blockman podcast. And that has been our guest. And tune us to the next one.
I don't like
and
that.
And like, that's cool. And I had a very good friend of mine that once gave me this not idea, but like analogy is, and I'll do the test with you. How many names off the top of your head can you think of that start with the letter B. Names that start with the letter B.
So say them.
Yeah. Give me
Bianca, Bronwyn, Brad. Damien just said Bridget. yeah.
Like it's easy.
I could get into it in the beginning, but
you'd eventually probably throw the word Bob or name Bob.
Yeah,
Bob. You said Brad.
Yeah, Brad.
Bridget.
Bianca. Bronwyn.
And what's so easy, what's so funny is those are all easy, bro. So we call those the Bobs. But no one really goes Bartholomew. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So it's one of those where what you guys are building and what you guys are doing here at the Creative Blockman, it's not Bob's, it's Bartholomew's, where you're going to kind of look back and you're going to kind of go, you see how those people copied us? And it's like, yeah, but that's cool. Like, because
they're Bobs.
They had no other choice. You know what I mean? Because they will only do what's being done. How many Bobs and Barbaras and Brads and Bridgets do you know? Plenty. How many Bartholomew's do you know? You know my point. So, yeah, I think the question I'd ask you is a fewfold. I think maybe one is why the Creative Blockman? Because I think a lot of the times you explain it behind the scenes, but in a highlight reel, a lot of the people are like, oh yeah, it's creative people, which is cool, but it might start there, but it doesn't end there. So maybe, why the Creative Blockman?
So, as I was saying earlier, my whole life basically has been spent in the butcher industry. From a young age, like I tell everyone, the first time I actually set foot, yes, I was just eating Viennas and cheese with staff and stuff like that. But I was in a shop. It was 12 years old. You know what I mean? I was at the back of the store, literally doing that. Be like, there's Viennas. Like, hey guys, you want a Vienna? Yeah, sure, let's eat.
It sounds so weird when you say it like that. Hey guys, you want a Vienna?
Weird, but yeah. Not knowing that, hey, listen, that's like the shop stock and you should not be eating that. And I was like, whatever, man, we're hungry. We're like, so yeah, I spent my whole life basically in the butcher industry. Still in it today. Very grateful. Yeah, like that's how it came. A guy that actually cuts meat. So the guy you see behind the counter on that machine that makes it, that's called a blockman.
Oh, wow.
There you go. At a young age, as you can imagine, it's not fun for a 12-year-old or 13-year-old or 14, 15, 16.
Limelight,
it's not fun. Like I used to cry, literally. Sure. Like I used to argue with my dad and cry because I was like, dude, my friends are going to go karting and you telling me I must go to work with you. I'm 14. Like, I don't want to do this. And he was like, I don't give up. You're coming. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how it came about. I used to come up with stories, bro. I used to stand in the front of the shop. My dad always used to be like, hey, are you even checking? Oh, I'm like, in my head, I was like, no, I'm busy fighting Goku. Like, relax, dude. I'm busy up here, okay? Like got more important things to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, always
the
just being creative.
Blockman. So a blockman is, as you said,
a guy that cuts the meat,
cool,
and then
man.
I just put two and two together. I've always been creative. I love stories. I love stories. Funny enough, I'm actually dyslexic. So
wow.
I think I'm probably the only person, or not only person, but that actually completed a copywriting course. And 100%. My grammar's terrible. I am dyslexic, 100%. So yeah, I think that's one thing I'm actually quite proud of. And that's random,
very cool, man.
But it's because you know what I did, dude. I was like, okay, I see you guys. You guys are good at this. But what I'm gonna do is, if I produce and write a radio ad, I'm not gonna come read it in class. I'm gonna play it. I used to produce and actually create the radio ad, record it, mic, sound, everything, and play it.
So there, again, you just touched on it. So everyone is rocking up and presenting and talking and giving, quote unquote, a bob. And here's Miguel kind of going, 2 seconds. I got a cool idea. So I'm going to produce the whole thing, effects, sound, setup, whatever. Right. Now here. And I think at the end of the day, it's the ones that are, and there's probably a quote somewhere that I'm going to butcher, but the ones that are crazy enough to do something different are the ones that actually end up doing it. I butchered that.
Yeah, I get I know what quote you're trying to do.
It sounds a whole lot more inspiring than what I just did.
It's very inspiring.
But yeah, it's. I think Apple actually did an advert once where it was like the ones that are crazy enough to do it actually.
Yeah, the ones that change the world. Thank you, Damien. Well done.
Thanks,
at least you earn your wage for today. Anything else? Anything else?
So I asked why Creative
Why?
Blockman.
Correct.
Now, the funny thing is, this is a double-sided coin. Why do you keep doing it? Because, we touched on, passion with it being, it's to suffer. And I at least know what it's like to not measure up, to kind of have imposter syndrome, to kind of feel like, at the end of the day, numbers speak better than pretty pictures at the end of the day. So like,
And numbers can hurt. Your numbers can really hurt you.
And, it's all cute and well, like people having whatever comments that they have. But at the end of the day, you still want to, as much as you want to make something creative, you still want to make something meaningful, and you still want to have something that makes impact. And your idea of impact versus the reality of what the actual impact currently is normally very, very different. And I think a lot of the times that middle ground, people go, well, it's not what I thought, so I'm going to stop. And still choosing to wake up in the morning and quote unquote hit the record button is not a small thing. So yes, why the Creative Blockman? From a inception, origin
correct.
kind of framework, but why do you keep going? Because like this episode is episode X, but there's been other creatives that you've both got their stories, look behind the curtain with them. There's been an audience that has watched those episodes and been inspired, been entertained, educated, or empowered in the process of it. And there's going to be so many more episodes and seasons after this, even branching out into other things. We chatted from the art showcase that you're kind of doing. And it's only going to get better and bigger and kind of pouring petrol on that fire. But there's still a why. Like, why do you carry on?
It's going to sound very, like the answer's not going to be very inspiring or dramatic.
Yeah.
I just love doing this shit, dude.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Honestly, if TCB does not grow any further, if I stay on 5,000 followers, if I drop to 500 followers,
Sure.
I'm still going to do it. I do this because I love it. It's not something I can chat about art. I can have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's like I said to you earlier, if I'm going to have somebody on the podcast that can be the greatest photographer in the world, I can have, I think his name's Platon, the photographer that takes a lot of super influential photos of, like, he's done Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Gaddafi, everything.
Profile. Yeah.
Everything. If he comes on and I can't engage and just have a normal conversation as two normal human beings, I don't want him on here. You know what I mean? Like, I love doing this. I enjoy just doing this. What I'm doing right now, I love it.
And I think that in and of itself, as much as you said, it's like, I might not be like the most inspiring, but that is the breeding ground of all inspiration. It's just having heart. I think it's loving what you do more so than the export, more than the publication of the content, but kind of looking at it going, when's the next one? And I think it's in that process that we find the passion to just keep going on. So,
definitely. Dude, I would love to sit and chat for another hour, but unfortunately, people's attention spans are terrible.
And we have real jobs.
And we have real jobs. I need to go home. I need a shower. Probably smell like ass. It's been a long ass day.
A lot of people don't know, but the football jersey you're wearing, you just came from practice.
Yeah. Yep. Soccer balls are somewhere, in the archive. But we're going to have to wrap up, unfortunately.
Thanks, man.
Again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, for driving all this way. I really do appreciate it. It's not something I take lightly. I really appreciate all my guests that come on. And honestly, I see everybody that's been on the podcast. You guys are like, kind of, not sound cliche, but like a little family.
100%,
you know what I mean?
bro.
Like, guys are really,
we need
really
to do
important.
like this family get together now.
Yo, imagine like 60 people on a podcast. Holy shit. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. If you stayed till the end, if you stayed
You're
this
a real
long,
one.
guys, put a little, I don't know, any emoji. Let's put it what? Smiley for what emoji?
Just like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, there we go. Like, comment, subscribe, share it. And thank you for
Tag your
sticking
grand.
around. Yeah. Tag your gran. And thank you for sticking around. I really do appreciate it. Just as I'm appreciative of my guests, I'm also appreciative of the people that actually stay this long and actually watch. For me, that's also a huge thing. So if you have stayed this long, thank you very much. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.